I just turned 59 a couple of weeks ago. And I have to say, this is the first year in about 15 years that I did not reach my fitness goals. See, typically every birthday I like to get in extra good shape. I like to lower my body fat. I like to tighten up my diet. I like to increase my workout intensity in the gym just to look extra good for my birthday. I started doing this in my 40s. I guess that makes me feel good when I'm getting older, that I can always look good on my birthday. But this year things didn't work out. And one of the main reasons why things didn't work out is because an old injury of mine kind of popped up. I actually herniated a couple of discs in my neck, C6, C7, and actually C4 to C5 in my neck, surfing about 20 years ago, a couple of bad herniations. You know, went to an orthopedic surgeon back then. He wanted to operate on my neck. I got a second opinion. They wanted to operate as well. But I kind of like took it easy and kind of rehabbed it myself. And my neck is pretty good and pretty manageable. But every now and then, it kind of pops up and bothers me. And I kind of overdid it. Like I was a little behind the 8 ball this year for getting into top shape for my 59th birthday. I typically like to take about 8 to 10 weeks to prepare. But this particular year, due to the pandemic, and I feel like I gained a little bit too much weight over the pandemic, the most weight I've ever gained in maybe in like a decade, I kind of try to like catch up, and I pushed myself a little too hard in the gym, tweaked my neck. And also I had a weird thing happen in the house where I have this like great surround sound stereo system. My subwoofer broke, and you know, I was trying to fix my subwoofer and I was behind my stereo and I was just in a weird position for like 2 hours. And that really aggravated my neck. And that kind of just like kind of weakened my whole body for my workout program to get back in shape. My general rule when it comes to like working out is I like to work in maybe 8 to 10 week cycles. And I'm also a big believer in that most of your workouts, like really 80% of your workouts, should be relatively easy to moderate. And then maybe the last couple of weeks of say an 8-week cycle, you should increase the intensity, maybe be working at a maximal level. But this year, I only had about 6 weeks. So I kind of overdid it. I didn't follow my own rules, and I kind of pushed myself too hard in the gym, and that really set me back. So what I want to do now that I'm 59, my neck is already starting to feel better. But what I want to do is I want to declare this year is my year to work on all my different injuries. So if you're older like me, say you're in your 40s, you're in your 50s, you're a little banged up, you got some things, why don't you say to yourself, this is your year to really go after these injuries and make them feel better. And I'm going to do a few different things. Let me go over them all. Let me tell you what's always helped me in the past. Definitely mobility movement. Not necessarily stretching, more like active stretching. Active stretching means like when you're contracting into positions of weakness. Like for example, if your chest is tight, you would like externally rotate your arms, contract and pull them back, right? When you contract the posterior muscles, it's called reciprocal inhibition. When you're relaxing the anterior part of your body, right? You're stretching out your chest. I'm going to do a lot of active type stretching. I'm going to do a lot of mobility movement. And what I mean by mobility movement is pretty much moving in every range of motion possible, pain-free. You know, lubricates the joints, brings blood and oxygen to your body. It also like kind of rewires your body. If there's any positions that you haven't been in for a long period of time, you can actually lose like your neurologic control in those positions. So mobility movement is a great way to like to remap or kind of like rewire your whole body. Sometimes you may have an old injury that's actually healed, but your central nervous system still is sending a pain signal. Sometimes you have to prove to your body that you're not injured anymore by moving in all these planes of motion, pain-free. And there are a lot of these experts that I follow, like 𝙒𝘏𝙏𝙏. He's like a movement specialist. He moves incredibly well. I like 𝑍-Health, Dr. 𝙒𝘏𝙏𝙏. There's so many people out there that specialize in movement. So I'm really going to focus on just becoming a better mover this year. That's going to be a big part of my workout routine. Plus, I'm also like a muscle activation technique specialist. It stands for MAT, muscle activation techniques. And it's a form of like body work. So I'm going to get a little bit back more into that than I typically have. I'm going to go to some therapist I went to school with maybe 15 years ago, have them work on me. That's always helped my body, always helped my neck, always helped my back. And then when it comes to my resistance training, I'm definitely going to keep the reps really high this year. I'm going to keep the weights relatively on the moderate to lighter side. I'm going to close the muscle down, 2 more metabolic stress, continuous tension, pump type training. Good for the joints. I'm not, even if I lose a little bit of muscle mass this year, I can always gain it back. I'm not going to do any heavy like deadlifting or even with my knee, I really can't squat heavy anymore. I'm also going to experiment with a lot of blood flow restriction training where I include, you know, my legs and my arms so I can keep the weights a little bit lighter in the gym. So I'm definitely going to do that. And then I'm going to go back to my perfect eating schedule. I'm a big believer in that low carb, whole, natural food diet. I'm definitely going to stick to that. I'm going to eat pretty much, you know, just animal protein, chicken, fish, meat. I'm going to eat vegetables and some low sugar fruits like berries. And that's going to be like the cornerstone of my diet. And I'm going to stay with my typical intermittent fasting schedule, which I like to vary from day to day. Like one day I may fast 16 hours, the next day I may fast 20 hours. I'm thinking about doing a 24-hour fast pretty much once per week. I'm going to do that. If not an OMAD day, once per week. And I'm going to work on those 8-week cycles where I'm going to work on mostly relatively easy. And then the last 2 weeks of an 8-week cycle, I'm going to increase the intensity and kind of go for it. But I'm really going to focus on just moving better, mobility movement. I'm going to see how good I can get my body feeling, especially in my knee. If I can get my knee to where I want it to be a year from now, I'm definitely going to look into having another knee operation. Even though I've been to a couple of different surgeons who gave me a couple of different opinions already, everyone tells me everyone wants to do a different operation to fix my knee, but I have to give one of those guys or gals, one of the experts, a try to see if they can fix my knee, if I can't get it to be where I want to be within a year from now. So if you're like me, if you're in your 40s and your 50s, you're banged up, leave a comment below this video. Join me this year. Focus on mobility movement, clean up the diet, right? Keep the reps high in the gym so you're not hurting yourself. And let's go through this year together.